So, what I want to talk about right now is education within sales. So, all of you in this room are in the business of selling. Everyone is to a degree in the business of selling. So, I think that as a skill set, people sometimes don't think about it expansively enough because at any age of your life, you're selling your parents on the prospect of doing something or giving you access to something. You're selling your children on the idea of doing something. So your parents are selling you as much as you sell your parents, depending upon for the younger people in the room, you're living at home. You're selling or negotiating with landlord over rent. You're selling, of course, to your point said when you jumped onto the call, if you're single and you date, you're selling people on the prospect of who you are. Okay. So everyone is selling. So it always shocks me to a huge degree that people don't educate themselves on the art of selling. So let's just do a quick kind of hands up. Who here has read one sales book end to end? Okay. So one of three. I can safely assume then who here has read 10 sales books end to end? It's ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous. It's just so crazy to me that a lot of people want to be in sales and then everyone is in sales, whether or not they realize that they're in sales, yet no one educates themselves on the art of selling. It's so counterintuitive when it comes to being successful. I mean, I think that one of the things that people forget is that there is a mechanical process to the procedure of sales, much like physics. There's textbooks and there's process and there's objection handling and there's impact statements and there's sales qualified leads and there's marketing qualified leads and there's talking to decision makers and gatekeepers and using different sales styles. There's direct sales, there's different types of sales processes and procedures. So for me, it's equivalent to getting in a car for the first time, driving down the highway, and expecting you're going to make it to your destination in the most optimized way. It's a ridiculous notion, yet everyone in this room and a lot of salespeople at some level or another say that, oh, I want to get into sales. And the question I always ask is, but do you really? Do you really? You should, if you really want to become an expert in that space, educate yourself. And this is where, to your point, Aaron, there's on the job training, but then there's all the training outside of it. And actually, there's the work that you do today that counts for today, but then there's a much more important work that you do today that counts for tomorrow. You guys have more of a dedication to your fucking fitness routines than you do your actual future, which is crazy for me. It's crazy. It's okay. I want to go to the gym. I want to get a body. I want to have my protein shakes, but I don't want to do any of the reading that could make me 100 grand next year. It's crazy. It's crazy. You're optimizing for the wrong damn thing. No one in 20 years from now is going to remember, oh, Aaron, he's the guy that had the six pack. No one cares. No one gives a shit. You don't respect people for that stuff. That's all short term thinking. But what's interesting is that we all do the work that's easy. So then you're not really working hard if you're doing the work that's easy because no one wants to apply themselves. The same thing, Sebastian, applies for client relationship management. Have you Googled best books to read if I'm a client relationship manager? And have you attempted to read any of those books? No. It's okay. It's okay. This isn't a character assassination for anyone. But again, I just want to increase your levels of consciousness when it comes to what's possible with your careers because you have everything in your own hands. But mostly, people aren't acting upon the opportunities that they have available to them. Sebastian, do you want to say something, mate?
I was just gonna say I've watched a couple of videos though, if that helps, but it's not the same, so that's why I put my
It's
hand
great.
up.
It's
Yeah.
it's great that you said that because that is the classic response. That is the classic response. You know what? I want to be a forex trader. So I watched 3 videos of a forex program, and I'm not making money from forex, but I did put the. Come on, what are you saying to me, man? What are you saying to me? What standards, as I said to Aaron and Evan, what standards are you setting for yourself? You have to be embarrassed of saying something like that. You have to be embarrassed. You cannot. And again, it's everything is a matter of your own choices and where you want to ascend in life. I'm not a sales director, but I've read about 40 sales books because when I decided I wanted to learn how to sell, I thought, let me read all there is to read, or let me read enough such that I can achieve such a level of competency that I'll blast past a lot of people who just haven't put the work in. And at its root, it boils down to hard work, and people often don't understand what hard work looks like, so therefore they do the easy work, and the easy work is all the other stuff that you optimize. So in your lives you might be a super strong Sam when it comes to the fitness side of it or the social side of it, but then you're a slow ass Sally when it actually comes to the stuff that matters, which is the begin with the theory and then aggressively attack the practice. Begin with the practice. That's fine as well. Ideally, do both, right? Ideally, do both because then you just set yourself up for success. I mean, look at the British Special Forces. The more you sweat in the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in war. They have a training program that they put themselves through that can ultimately, as a consequence, put them into top 1%ers and it's all training. And the problem for most people, and this is something, of course, that is for you to figure out is, whether you're willing to put the work in, find the books, read the books, consume the books. You'll get immediately differential returns from the work that you do, but no one wants to do the work because we're not reading the books, we're not learning the lessons, and what often will happen with sales is that you're unconsciously unaware of your actual ability or how low your ability is because the ability that you have is limited to your exposure. So you go around thinking you're the best typewriter when you've never been exposed to a wireless keyboard in your life. Of course you think you're the best because all you've seen and all you've been looking at is the typewriters of the world until someone comes with a Mac and to you it appears like magic. It's not magic. It's just people choose to educate themselves. People choose to put the work in, and that's a huge significant difference with what you learn in academia because you're trained to learn how to study, but a lot of your study is irrelevant study. So therefore, you don't get a return on investment on the things that you study, and that's why you choose to drop out at one point. You do your biology, your physics, or your business economics, or your mathematics. You think, what the fuck am I going to do with this shit? How is this going to have an application for my life? But sales is pretty much zero sum. Dealing with people can be very, very zero sum to a decent degree because if you the different so imagine you go from reading 0 books to reading 3 books, you'll become like 300 times better probably because you'll say, oh wow, I read Jordan Belfort, I read Grant Cardone, there's these 5 other sales guys, I read all their books, and all of a sudden you have this huge body of knowledge to draw upon, right? So approach the important thing, which is the art of communication, much in the same way. Treat the work of client relationship management, Sebastian. Treat the work of learning sales, Aaron and Evan, the same way that you're aggressively trying to learn sales, mate, or that you're aggressively trying to learn Ahrefs or Screpy or whatever tool. Because what you want to optimize for is blow everyone away when you walk into a room by your active listening, by the way that you introduce yourself, by the way you control the frame, by the way that you manage objections, by the way that you can talk to someone who's 22 to 62 to 51, irrespective of color, religion, caste, creed, sales ability, background, that you've got that level of competency that you bring. And this none of this is really about age or experience because none of that shit matters. It's all about work ethic. It's all about work ethic, which is really how you can quite easily differentiate yourself. And I think that with the education side of it, I go on about it right now in this call because I want to, and I cannot overemphasize how an intentful or intentional education can quite quickly set you apart from people. Because if you educate yourself to a certain level, your success is inevitable. It's just inevitable because you're doing differential work and separate to your careers at Pearl Lemon, it's for yourself, this stuff. It's not, you know what I mean? It's like these are the skills for life. Read the books, exchange twice a day at the gym or whatever you're doing at the gym for reading. Figure out how to instill it into your mind that I'm going to read one sales book a week, and then quite quickly, or one client relationship management book a week. And again, it's that cramming concept. You read 3 books and you get a massive return on investment. So the differences are marginal in terms of input, but the returns on investment are highly leveraged because most people, and I'm not my goal isn't to be a sales director, but I've outread most salespeople when it comes to my sales literature and learning, because sales didn't come naturally to me. But I knew that, well, if I can outlearn these guys, I can probably over time outperform those guys because I can learn. I'm prepared to put in the work and I'm prepared to actually test the things that I learn. And as a consequence, I can probably get good really, really quickly. And if you can apply that to your sales literature and reading, amazing. Amazing. And again, it's about shutting out the noise and not accepting, because you've had a lifetime, whether you're 17 or 27, you've had a lifetime of people telling you, a lifetime, oh, take a break. Oh, don't worry, you work too hard, or chill out, or why don't you also, it's all bollocks. Because without exception, in all likelihood, 100% of those people haven't shown you either paychecks or a lifestyle that makes your eyeballs pop out. So with all due respect, I'm like, well, what do you know? And what's interesting is that and that's also why this reading part is so important, because you imbibe and you instill the actual thinking of people that are like massively successful comparative to where you are. And what happens, it's insidious and you don't realize it. At the dinner table, at the breakfast table, when you're out with your mates, when you're out with your family, people give you commentary on feedback on how you're doing or what you should do based upon their perspective of earning what, doing what. So it's why you need to be really, really intentional with it. And again, the clear, the evidence was just, hands up, how many people have read a sales book? Oh, everyone in this room tells me they want to sell. Oh, but no one's prepared to put the work in. So, okay, well, what kind of results are you expecting? It's the same. It's like, oh, I want to get an A in physics, but I didn't read the textbook. I'll just figure it out during the test. What I will do though is I'll go and do this other thing because it's easy. That isn't any evidence of anything. It's not a useful token. All of the other stuff. So it's uncomfortable. It's not for everyone. That's why only few people actually achieve that level of success. Because most people, again, so find the relevant books, read the relevant books, become a voracious learner because you're all capable of it, and you'll see in real time the measures of success that you can have with anything that you do, and pay very limited attention to anyone who tells you anything that's otherwise, unless they're saying, look, I'm earning 100 grand a month, bro, or I'm doing whatever I'm doing. Unless they have undeniable levels of success, take what they say with a pinch of salt and only focus upon learning from people that are super successful, which is why there's abundant return on investment that you can gain from reading these books. And so it's a very, it's a very simple lesson. I'm like, read more, but trying to get it into your mindset to an extent that you actually do it, the actually put the work in, it's hard. It's difficult because people, it's easier to, oh, you know what, my mates wanted to go and do something on Saturday, or you know what, XYZ, or you know what, you know what, I'm tired. I've had a long day of whatever it might be. It's like, cool, cool. That's exactly what the Netflix generation is super into. Okay. So all your Netflixing, all of the time spent, Instagram, scroll of doom, all of that stuff, social, all of it, just it's because especially for you, Aaron and Evan, you're walking out of school and you've chosen to step up to the big boy table. So it requires, if you want to get to where you say you want to go, and obviously time will distinguish that, there's a different kind of work ethic that you need to have. And you need to figure out yourself whether you're prepared for that path or you're happy with getting an average result. And given that you actively both chose to drop out of education because it didn't, by your judgment, seem to be leading you in the direction that you wanted, I would then say, Well, great. Now you've got a big opportunity. You're both 17, 18, whatever, 16, 17, 18 years old. You're young. Use that with you and don't like do of course go to the gym or Sebastian, do whatever the hell you do at the weekend. Just put the fucking work in. Like just like, like and not to gender stereotype, but man the fuck up and read the books and educate yourself and be so much better than everyone around you until you start playing the game at the new level, until you beat the big boss at level 1 and you're like, whoa, I'm at level 2 now. And there's a whole new set of ultimately contenders. There's a whole new set of other people. And it begins with, and that's the way that you can test yourself, waking up an hour earlier and putting the work in before work, deciding that, you know what, before I go to the gym, I'm going to buy this book and I'm going to force myself to sit at the table and I'm going to take notes. When I'm out with my friends, I'm going to get them to role play objections with me. When I'm going to try and do a memory test of all of the things that I know about client relationship management, whatever it might be. That's what the work looks like. That's what the work looks like. And that's what's going to help set you up for success. And then you'll have your own strategies that you'll bring to calls. You'll have your own process and approaches because your working template, your mental model you've got in your mind is super fucking thin. Because I'm like, where's your textbook? Do you know what I mean? It's like you've all got textbooks for the gym, which is ever increasing. I'm sure you're watching that Sam whatever guy who does all of his training and all of the fucking gym bros, Mr. Olympia. You guys have bigger tech mental models for the gym than you do for sales, which is like totally fucking bonkers to me. Do you know what I mean? It's like that is like really the inverse of success. That is the guys that go to the pub on the Friday and want to look good on the Saturday at the beach, and they're optimizing for a very, very ordinarily, a very, very fucking mediocre life. Because that's not what anyone who's ultra successful even considers as being the mental model they should pull from. If you are on Instagram, it should be everything that's related to sales. It should be nothing else. You should be ignoring all that. And doing that and putting the work in requires discipline. And it's very easy to say to yourself, oh, you know what? It's all right. I'll do it tomorrow. It's all right. I will get better, because saying it makes me feel better about myself. But, if I look at the results, and I'd love to say in a month from now, who here's read 2 sales books? Boom. Who here completed them? Boom. Who could tell me about them? Boom. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like, okay, cool. I see the room now. I see who the men are and I see who the boys are. So, okay, cool. What do you do? It's like, oh, my gym routine's great. I PB'd. I can do 120 kilo squat. Amazing, amazing, bro. It's going to really help. Amazing. Good for you. So, whatever your gym equivalent is, because everyone has it, you need to reverse that mental model. So you can speak the same way you speak about whatever influencer or whatever fucking thing that you're into, and you can speak about that with the sales game. Because everyone's selling. Everyone. CEO. And that's why I chose to read the books I read, right? I don't do any of the sales, but I'm in sales. I need to, or I want to do my best to help you guys operate at the top percentile of your own individual abilities. And I need to communicate that to you so you can be fucking warriors at work. And that's my job. I need to sell you on the vision of a prospect of a future at Pearl Lemon, but also your own futures. So I'm selling. That's why I'm in sales. The selling that I'm doing these days is different. My selling is about how can I take the collection of individuals that I've collected and brought together, and how can I help them operate at their best level? How can I inspire them to want to self-improve so they can see with whatever time we share together and whatever time we have at Pearl Lemon, we can see phenomenal growth. And how can I leave you with such an impression and impact that you go on as fucking different human beings? That's what I'm setting, right? And hopefully, of course, if I do my job, you guys are buying. You say I'm all the way fucking in. So I'm in sales. And that's why I read the sales books, because I want to be better. I want to elevate. I'll still read sales books from time to time. I'm still always learning because, I do so much outside of the job learning that I've normalized it. And my friendship circle has transformed. My teens had a set of friends, university a different set of friends, 20s a transformed set of friends, mid-30s now, new set of friends, different set of friends. My friends have become distant. You know why? Like my friendship circles have changed 3 or 4 times because my levels have done this. And not everyone's fucking following me. because they're not prepared to walk the path. I'm the only one of my friends who's doing 100-mile ultra marathons, so I ain't running with my fucking friends no more because they're not prepared to walk the path. And that's cool. I don't begrudge them for it, but it does mean I don't take advice from them. It does mean we have less in common. It does mean the way I manage my days differently. And that means, or that happens because I'm doing different things to get differential results. And if I do my job correctly in my 40s, I'll have a different set of friends again because there's friends I'm meeting now, but I intend to push past them as well because I want to keep growing. So you want the same things. Does this make sense, guys? Am I making sense here? If you do your job correctly, very few, you want to be in a position that you put yourself into a place that very few people can follow you because of the work you're prepared to do. And then then you'll be successful, irrespective of anyone that's around you. And you're in control of that, which is why the sales book is just, or client relationship is just such a simple indicator of, okay, I know where you, and that's cool because you've got an opportunity to go to where you want to be and you can very quickly separate yourself. And then you just commit to, if you want to, a fucking lifetime of that. Be like, cool, I want to be a warrior. I want to be whatever you guys optimize. I want to be the 22-year-old Imam fucking Gadzi. I want to be blah, 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 whatever, whoever it is. But there's a path to walk. And the easiest evidence of that is your Saturdays. How are you spending your Saturdays? How are you spending your Sundays? And that'll often be how are you spending your evenings? How are you spending your mornings? Are you living like with the discipline that's required to get the result that you want to get? Or are you opting into the noise of what your friends and family are doing around you? And unless you're, in an exceptional family of people that have achieved outstanding results, it pays to walk your own path. But you need to live it and breathe it, which is where the books come in. Read the books, download the audibles, listen, re-listen, practice, normalize discomfort to a point where what once was uncomfortable becomes normal. And then you can go to the next level again, like the old Donkey Kong shit. That's all you need to do. It's a bit of discomfort, continued discomfort, and then you're like, you know what? I've grown. Much like you do with your 1 rep maxes at the gym. So I've grown and I've achieved a new level. I read a book this month. Maybe next month I can just do the same, which is great. Maybe the month after I do a bit less. Maybe month four I read 2 books. Look at my net growth over 4 months compared to the 4 months before. I went from reading 0 books a month to reading 2 books a month. I've now instilled a learning habit. And you guys have the learning habit, by the way, because you all studied or you're all less than 30. So you're not that far behind with academia. You know how to fucking study. So keep it up, but study the relevant stuff. And you'll quickly see, and that's the kind of team that I want to have, by the way. I want to be able to say to Sebastian, and you want this for yourself, say, I need you to learn client relationship management. I need you to learn sales. And I want you to become such fucking warriors. You don't even need me to say anything else. You're like, cool. I'm going to read 15 sales books on the trot. I'm going to learn everything there is to learn about it. I'm going to role play and I'm going to become the #1 salesperson at Pearl Lemon within 10 weeks. Watch me. Fucking watch me. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Like, you don't need me. You think you need me. You think you need this, but that's what people around you probably are saying. Get a mentor, training program, What can they do for you? And I'm like, nah, mate. It's what can you do for yourself? That's how successful, that's the bandwidth that successful people operate on. It's not what can you do for me, Deets. It's like, what can I do for anyone I walk into the room with? All I need is just say what it is and I'll figure it out back to front and I'll do it and I'll put the discipline, because that's the level I now operate at. What's normal for you, you want to become inconceivable for other people. Does that make sense? I ran my ultra marathon on Saturday. I did a 100-mile run on Saturday, Evan. I finished it in 22 hours, 45 minutes, right? 100 miles through the South Downs, 4,000 meters of elevation gain. I got quicker in my second 11 hours than my first 11 hours, even as the course got harder. Now, that came from years of discipline and reaching to that point. But I've now normalized the standard within running that my normal for some people is like just crazy, absolutely crazy, right? And in doing so, I've entered my own next level on Donkey Kong because I'm in this new class of runners and I'm like, oh, wow, there's levels to this fucking shit. There's like people that are like doing, there's guys that are doing the same run I did and they're finishing it in 18 hours. They're like, yeah, that's cool. I did it five hours faster than you. There's guys that are finishing it in the record is 14 hours, 8 hours faster than me. It's a whole fucking work day, bro. So that's that's my next level on Donkey Kong, right? Why wouldn't anyone want that for themselves? Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, cool, my normal will blow people away. And that's when the whole friendship change thing comes into place. And it should happen naturally because you're getting good results. And the truth is that everyone, and this is almost a truism of life, everyone wants you to be successful, but slightly less than they are because it hurts people's egos. It does. It hurts people's egos, of course. And you want to be like, you know what? My friends don't look at me the same anymore. And I'm like, cool. That probably means you're doing something right, mate, because you're fucking, you're blowing people away because you're putting the motherfucking work in. And that's what you want. And again, it's something that you want to build for life. And it's also why I want with the people that come here, I want that as, I'm trying to normalize that standard within the company, which is what I've been a bit sloppy about in the past. I want to normalize that as, yeah, that's the standard at Pearl Lemon. We're a team of warriors. I want to be able to say, Aaron, over this weekend, learn about this type of ejection handling. He's like, cool, leave it with me. I watched 7 videos. I watched 4.5 hours of training. I made my notes. I did a load of stuff on Monday. And by Tuesday, I can teach the guys that were teaching this stuff on YouTube on Saturday when I was reading it or watching it. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So read, but I'm trying to connect your reading with your why. And that should change the way that you read or change the way that you ultimately learn. And that's what I'm trying to communicate. So close down the gym bros, close down all of the other stuff, and you will find that your mental muscle of discipline and willpower is probably very puny. It's about as big as your calves, boys, because you're not used to it. You're not used to having the discipline to do the work that's required. And part of that involves cutting away the stuff that's irrelevant. But then habitually you want to turn to it. I'm asking you to turn off your mental sugar. Does that make sense? Like, turn that shit off. It's not helping you. It's not helping you. Getting a good body is easy because anyone can do it at any point in their life. So pick it up in 20 years from now or just do the basics. You don't need to optimize that crap. It's easy. It's easy. Becoming the top salesperson in a company is quite a lot harder. But that's why it's infinitely more valuable. So spend all your time learning that. Same thing with client relationship management, Sebastian. I want you to blow me away and be like, Sam is my first upsell. Now I'm getting 4 upsells a month, mate. And I'll be like, cool. Did you read anything about upselling? You're like, no, I'm kindly going and figuring it out as I go along in the dark. Don't make success an accident. Treat it as an intention, right? And then you can get really differential results. And I don't accept, don't accept any excuses that people give you or any, the amount of people would be like, Deeps, you can't build $1 million company from home back when I started. Deeps, you can't run 100 miles and be okay. This, that, this, that, this, that. I learned quite a while ago to cut out all of that noise, which is also why I became very intentional about who I listen to and what I listen to. And also why people are like, oh, why are you living? You're quite a social guy. Why are you living in the countryside in Italy? You don't see no one. Because I was like, my friendship network that I had were not operating with the mental bandwidth where they were adding the value I wanted in my life. I don't need to see these fucking guys. I can see them, but in a very structured and time bound way. But otherwise, that's why over the last 2, 3 years, my friendship circle has diminished as my levels of success have grown. You understand? Because I know that some of my success is uncomfortable, but also it means the way that I think about things and the way that I do things has changed. And not everybody is willing to make that change with me. And that's okay because I've got a place I want to be in life. I've got a lifestyle I want to give to Daniela, my wife, Evan, and Sebastian. And I've got a vision for the things that I want to give my family, like Aaron, my nephew. And that requires me to get to a certain place. Does that make sense? And I want you to want the same things for yourself. Because as soon as that hits home and you're like, cool, I've got to do some fucking mental transformation, you'll then begin to do the work that's required to get a differential result. To be the 18-year-old who says, I bought in £750,000 into the business this year, I want 100 grand. You realize to do that, you have to do different things from what you're doing today, right? And then, of course, everything that follows from outcomes like that leads you on a wildly different path. Wildly different path. And it's like, cool, to get to bringing in £250,000 into £750,000 into the company, money in the bank, for me then to ask for 100K, as an example, what do I need to do? Is what I'm doing right now likely to get me there? People are afraid to have these conversations with themselves. Does that make sense? And you're afraid to have those conversations because your reference points are shit. So get the right references, study, and understand that putting that work in will just separate you from everyone else. And that's the kind of big boy stuff that most people that you'll meet, this isn't about age, by the way, you'll meet 20, 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds who aren't prepared to do that. Not prepared to do that. And that's why, for the most part, most people end up living a bit of a mediocre life because it's harder. It's harder. And on that note, I want to share something that I find quite inspiring from Cristiano Ronaldo that I think is really quite
years. Said a few
impactful. So let me show you. Ronaldo. Fucking this guy. Ronaldo map. Sure. Yeah, cool. Let me just share it with sound and you'll see it.
Cristiano, but I give you the map. You think you will do it? It's difficult. It's
The discipline.
the discipline is the most difficult thing. No one wants to be Cristiano, but I give you the map. You think you will do it? It's difficult. It's
The discipline.
the discipline is the most difficult thing, not only in the sport, but in the life. You have to challenge yourself to be consistent. I repeat, sometimes it's hard. It's what many people say, you like to go to the gym every day. Of course not. It's not true. Nobody likes to go to the gym every day. But you have to do it.
I find that extremely powerful. It's like, yeah, I'll give you the map. But do you think you can do it? It's not just a difficult profession, it's a difficult life. It is a difficult life. That's why most people aren't prepared to do it. That's why most people don't have outcomes like that. But we have that opportunity. Everyone's capable of it. And the way to separate yourself is straightforward to say, which is why I'm saying it. But I appreciate it's extremely fucking difficult to do. But I would encourage you to do that the best as you can if there's a particular kind of life that you want to live. And all of the opportunities in front of you, gentlemen. All of the opportunities in front of you.